9-month-old Rise Mzansi will be launching its manifesto this morning with 5 key policy themes promising a festival of solutions. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo is standing by to give us a sense, Ziyanda, at this hour of how events are developing there. They're expecting some 4,000 people to be in attendance.
That's right, Dudu. In fact, scores of people have begun streaming into the Heartfelt arena, where, of course, we know that Rise Mzansi will be launching their manifesto, and the head of policy would have been integral in putting together this People's Manifesto, as you've dubbed it. I've spoken to some of your leaders, and they've said that key amongst the issues that continue to come up as you've been engaging with communities is around the scourge of drug abuse, hunger, but of course all of these are linked to unemployment. So at a very practical level, if you were to be in government tomorrow, how would you deal with this?
Well, you're absolutely right that these issues are linked. And so a Rise Mzansi government would deal with these issues holistically. Fundamentally, the scourge of drug and alcohol abuse, hunger, roots from the fact that we have a stagnant economy that doesn't work for the majority of South Africans. So the sustainable long-term solutions are to grow the economy inclusively, create jobs and economic activity at all levels, from micro to small, all the way to large-scale businesses. But specifically in terms of drug abuse, we would work with young people. We treat it as a holistic health and wellness issue. So you need to have social interventions, access to mental health services, drug treatment, as well as the crime and safety policy, which would attack drug traffickers and the kingpins that are fueling this scourge in our communities. And then on hunger, which is a huge issue, particularly in certain areas of the country, like Eastern Cape, where our leader is from, and we've met with communities and people explaining to us that they can't count on 1 meal a day or even 2 meals a day. And so we would use a mix of food vouchers, government income grants, as well as helping communities grow their own food, which is going to become increasingly important in the climate crisis. So create that resilience, community gardens, and which we've seen through our own work as Rise Mzansi with our micro actions, that people actually, when empowered with the tools and the know-how, can grow community gardens, can grow, chicken raising projects. So we've seen the opportunities that are available if you invest in communities.
I mean, a lot of these things that you're saying are not necessarily new, and you've positioned yourself as an opposition to the ANC, or an alternative, I should say, to the African National Congress. So is this not a matter of an implementation issue?
We do have a lot of new ideas in our manifesto, which hopefully we'll be able to take you through. But very specifically, our first priority is leadership, governance, and implementation. Because the majority of our problems in this country are because of the fact that if we have incompetent leaders who don't care about serving the public and only care about serving their own needs. So we absolutely have to address the institutional crisis of leadership, governance, and implementation, and give South Africans an alternative of capable, ethical leaders who will put their needs first. And in that way, you'll be able to address many common sense things. Keeping the lights on, electricity, power plants that actually work, water treatment facilities that work. These are not revolutionary ideas, but you need capable leaders to be able to implement those things.
Are you finding that you are gaining confidence from the communities that you're speaking from? I mean, how are they supposed to know who Mandla Isaacs is, and why should they listen to you?
Well, I think one thing that the media misses, and we love and appreciate our friends in the media, but a lot of you are in the metros or in the big cities, and we purposely did most of our work on the ground in those outlying communities that get overlooked, that aren't covered, in rural Eastern Cape, in the Free State, in Northwest. So we've actually prioritized those outlying areas, the ordinary communities that aren't there, that aren't sexy, that aren't always on the news, that aren't in the big city centers. And that's where they've made us aware of things like hunger, things like drug abuse as some of their top priorities. So we focus our work on going to people, going to communities, sitting with them, listening to them, trying to understand what their biggest priorities, and some of those have surprised us. We knew about the hunger issue long before it came to national promises because of some unfortunate family tragedies, because people were telling us that these are issues. We knew about the reason drug abuse is a priority for us that not necessarily many other parties are talking about as much is because that's what people are telling us. It's really been in their top 3 issues, is that young people in drugs and alcohol abuse. It deeply concerns them. It's about hopelessness and a lack of opportunities, and it fuels many of the crime and insecurity in those communities.
I mean, I can understand what you're saying, and I understand that you've been doing the community work. I'm talking about track record and why people, what have you been saying to people that would make them trust you? Because, like I'm saying, who are they supposed to know Mandla Isaacs is, and why should they trust you with their very critical vote in this 2024?
So I think the first thing is that we don't say to communities that we're going to solve all your problems. What we say is, we're going to build the South Africa we deserve for the people, by the people. That we're a movement that is going to be about people-centered politics, so we're going to do this together. We're not going to ask you to sit down in between elections for 5 years and let us do everything. So that's a big difference. But secondly, we fundamentally believe that the best must lead. And we're very proud of our leadership track record. If you look at the NLC members, our profiles are on our websites. We're all accomplished people coming from the public sector, the private sector, the social sector, from all sorts of different backgrounds. And I stand by the capabilities of all of our leaders, and I think that's what people are resonating towards. So it's not for me to toot my own horn, but I would say go on our website, look at the track record, look at Songezo's track record as a leader in corporate, look at Vuyiso's track record as a leader in the property sector, look at my track record as a government advisor that has worked around the world, that has 3 degrees in politics and has spent 20 years building up and working on these issues. So I'm not a fly-by-night. We're not here because of an election. We have been leading and doing important things for our communities long time ago. Not 6 months ago, not a year ago, not 5 years ago. So I stand by the track record of all the members of our collective.
All right. Mandla Isaacs is the head of policy here at Rise Mzansi, and of course he would have been a very key component of putting together that people's manifesto.
Ziyanda, Ngcobo, thank you very much for that update.